Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddy Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. I am joined by the wonderful and fabulous Laura Ann Moore. She is a money mindset coach. She is a financial wellbeing speaker. She is a TikTok influencer. She is an investment expert. She's also really fucking funny, and her dating stories are absolutely hilarious. So if you're not following her, you need to after this, because you're gonna see this. We're probably gonna like dip between professional and non-professional and like fun. It's gonna be an interesting episode, I think. Lauren, tell us about you.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So welcome. We've been trying to plan this bloody thing for about 6 months.
We have, and we're here. Well done, us.
Yes.
Lovely intro. Thank you. So yeah, I am. They're all the things that I call myself, but my whole thing is about helping people to feel good about money and making money fun and relatable and judgment free and jargon free. And my whole aim is around helping people to confidently build wealth, especially if they're not from that background of understanding it. And yeah, I do it in so many ways. I have a podcast, I do one-to-ones, I do workshops, I have courses, I do a lot of talks, I do a lot of panels, the classic multi-hyphenate, if you will.
Yes. And like, it's like, basically, you're just like a big money slut, basically. You do all the money thing. I mean, to be fair, it's not like I'm any less bad.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of money sluts.
Yeah, I do stuff that's not money as well. At least yours is like in a container and like you know what you're doing. Like mine's just like I do this, I do that, I do like oh no, too many things. Damn you, ADHD. Yeah. So we had a little bit of a discussion about this before, but you suspect you probably do have ADHD.
Yeah, my older brother and my younger sister do. And I think my mum does. And I was always like, no, I don't, because I'm so organized. That was my thing. I was like, I'm organized. I don't have it. But probably over the last year, there've been a lot of things that have cropped up where I'm like, me being organized doesn't mean I don't have it. It shows up so differently in different people that now I'm like so sure that I do have it.
Absolutely. And, I think it kind of takes one to know one a little bit sometimes, without diagnosing people. We try, I try not to do that as like, I'm not Joe Wicks. Too soon. But, in terms of like actually just kind of knowing and understanding, it helps. It really does. It helps you to kind of be a bit more aware of what's going on. And, I've been watching your content for a long time, and I think you are you're very hyperactive. You're quite out there and bubbly, vivacious. You've got lots of ideas. You're really intelligent. You're really creative. I think those are the sorts of things that people kind of miss when they go for the ADHD diagnosis. They think, oh, I'm not, I'm really organized. I can do all the things. But actually, is that just the fact that you're masking it?
Exactly.
As a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
As a woman, because we do it.
Thank you. I definitely feel like I have the hyper part as well. My whole life, which is interesting because I know that doesn't always show in women, but like as compared to like men. But I have so much energy all the time, and then suddenly I just crash and burn, and I'll be like out for like a week, maybe a weekend, and then I come back and I don't eat sugar or anything sweet. And my whole life, people have been like, "Where do you get your energy from?" And I'm like, no, I have like little outbursts all the time. But yeah, there are a lot of things that kind of like point in that direction. And I also think like, regardless of whether I do or I don't, like maybe I'll go get diagnosed one day, or a diagnosis. The amount of things like on TikTok and Instagram that I really relate to, and some of the tools and the things that then help you, it's like, just makes you feel a bit more seen, and you're a bit like, oh, okay, I'm not the only person that does that. And it helps you just recognize parts of your behavior that maybe aren't serving you, that you can do something about. That's what I like.
It's weird because I actually think that I had no idea, like genuinely no idea that I had ADHD until kids.
Interesting.
And then I was like, oh, I'm really overwhelmed. I'm really tired. Like I have one small thing that depends on me, and that's really fucking difficult. Then I decided to bring in another small thing that made it really even more fucking difficult. And then the two small things, they fucking argue with each other and they talk to each other. I try and get them not to. I'm like, stop, stay away. You go that end, she can go that end. that was the thing. That was it. That was it there. And I was like, I'm no longer looking after myself. And
Mm.
the mask came off. It was
Mm.
like children was, they were the thing that made me go, something's not quite right here. Everything's
Interesting.
overwhelming. I hate everything. Like, I'm just like sitting in my chair rocking. Trying to run a business in
Yeah.
COVID was the thing. It was
Wow.
the thing where I was like, I'm looking after two small people. I'm trying to run two businesses. I've discovered TikTok, like, and TikTok did take over, and all I did was TikToks of my
Yeah.
kids. That they are still evident. You
Yeah.
can still find them on my backup account, not my normal one, because I was like, there's no way that I'm actually going to own up to those being mine.
I'm going to keep
I
that
am
as a
not jumping
secret.
into a weird pool of water, like
Yeah.
doing, it's just odd things.
That's true.
But that was kind of where mine came from, and it's very interesting to kind of
Yeah.
know. But I'm going to ask you the question that I ask
Mhm.
every single person who comes onto this podcast. What is your money story?
My money story is, I guess if we like go way back, like I was born into a family that did not have a lot of money. And, you know, my dad was a full-time, like self-employed plumber. My mum, she wasn't working at the time. So there's four of us.
Yeah.
I've got three brothers and sisters. But when my younger brother and sister were a little bit older, so they were like 10, maybe a bit younger, I would have been about 12. Anyway, my mum went back to work. So I kind of took on a massive role in the family as like part mother, part babysitter, part all the things from a really young age. But my whole thing was like, I always saw my dad out working all the time, like even weekends, and we never had any money as a family. It was like classic, like money doesn't grow on trees. You know, we stopped going on family holidays. I didn't get what I wanted. You know, I was not privileged at all. Like, you know, and we had a roof over our heads, but there was, you know, I remember one point when there was a bailiff like come knocking at the door, and I was maybe 11 or 12. And I remember
Yeah.
answering the door and being like, and my first thought was I need to go and save the Nintendo Wii. I was like, no one's taking my bowling away from me. Obviously, I don't know what I was going to do if they took the telly, but that's another story. But yeah, I was kind of in that environment. And then when I got to like 16, I got my own job, started working. I became a total like money hoarder because I was like, oh my God, if money's so hard to save and money's so hard to make and money's so hard to hold on to, I need to hold on to it. So I would like,
Absolutely.
you know, all of the things. And then I basically, when I got to like 18, I decided I didn't want to go to uni because I wanted to go to drama school. And for anybody that doesn't know, like my whole life, I wanted to be an actress. Always thought I was going to be Kate Winslet in Titanic 2. Again, don't know how that was going to happen. But drama school is like £15,000 per year, right? And at the time I wanted to go, you couldn't get a loan with the university. So I was
Yeah.
like, right, looks like I need to find 15 grand because my parents aren't going to give it to me. So I got a full-time job at 19 instead of going to university. And by the time I was 22, I had 15 grand. So I saved that money. And then very last minute, before I was due to go to drama school, literally 2 weeks before, two of my best friends were like, do you want to come to Australia? Do you want to come traveling? And I was like, actually, yeah. So I deferred my place at drama school. But my light bulb moment with that, from going from having a really poor negative relationship with money to realizing money was like a massive tool and could actually be something really positive, was
Yeah.
like in that moment, I wasn't deciding between drama school or traveling based on which one I could afford. It was based on which one I wanted. And that is like my moment of like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what kind of like drove me into even like doing this now, because I was traveling. I went to Australia, Bali, Thailand, Cambodia, like all the fun places, spent all of the money, and kind of was like, I don't think the acting world is for me, for so many reasons. Came home, set up a blog, got my old job back, saved another 25 grand, moved to London with some of my best friends. And then this kind of took off as a job. And then fast forward like 4 or 5 years and I'm doing it full time.
That's really amazing. So you never really had that kind of like, like go and work in retail or work in the office or like doing any of those like
Yeah, well, I did.
jobs or like
So 16 to 19, I was doing part-time customer service. That was
yeah.
I was team leader in Argos. And then when I was,
You say that proudly. I was team leader in Argos.
I was team leader. I am. I'm like I was on the jewelry section. But when I was 19 and I got that full-time job, I actually worked for a marketing agency. So whilst all my friends were at uni, I was like in my office at 7 a.m. I was getting commission. I was working. I was saving. Like I was living like that sweet adult life quite young.
Yeah.
but I worked in that job, minus my like sabbatical for 7 months traveling. I actually worked in that job for nearly 9 years. I worked with my boss, and I worked my way up from like account exec right up to like account director. Had a sweet deal, like really close to my boss. He wanted me to take over the company, but there was just something in me that was like, this isn't for me. And I knew that kind of in the last few years. And he was really supportive as I set up my blog and my Instagram. And honestly, I kind of went into it not with the plan to turn it even into a job. I was just doing it because I loved it. Yeah. And anything I was sharing was just like my personal experience. And because I'd saved 40 grand, 15 grand when I was 19, 25 grand when I was 25, I felt like I had something to say. I felt like I had something that I could help people with.
Absolutely. Your story is like the opposite of mine. So like I had £40,000 worth of debt because I just had a spending addiction and just went and bought loads of stuff. But like that, I mean, that is so inspiring for anybody to know that you came from pretty much nothing. You saved 40 grand. You used it. The dog's just turned the telly on with its arse. Can you hear that?
I can't hear it, but that's right. Fair play to your dog.
I mean, I'm quite impressed by that.
That's quite an impressive feat.
It is. But that's going to piss me off because that's background noise. So bear with me.
No worries.
Get off that dog. Off. Little dog. Right. Now he's going to be upset.
No telly for you, doggy.
He's done that. Like, just
quite impressive.
Throw that back over there. Anyway, interrupting our podcast. I lost my flow. But no, what I was saying was that is so impressive. And, you know, you have just such an amazing, like, presence on TikTok. Like,
thank you.
I follow you because, well, originally I think I started following you because I was like, I'm going to follow everybody in the money space and get to know all of the people and, you know, have all the amazing contacts. And I just suddenly just thought I feel like I know you because you're so honest, you're hilarious, like your dating stories are like just they make my life. I feel like I live my life vicariously through you sometimes. But also you are 10 years younger than me, so I'm going to go with the fact that like at least maybe like, you know, you're living the life that I kind of wish I did at that point.
It's funny you say about like feeling like you know me because I share so much on TikTok and I share so much on Instagram as well, on my stories as well. Like when I meet people that I've never met before, maybe I meet them at an event or we do a podcast, they know so much about me. And a lot of people say to me, do you not find that really weird? I'm like, no, I find it really nice. I love that like you can be like, oh, how was your, like you said to me when we chatted, how was your triple date? Like, I love it. Because you know, and look, maybe I'm an oversharer.
Typical ADHD thing. I am the same. So.
We love it. We just love to share. I am a storyteller at heart. Like that is the actor in me that comes out. Like I love to storytell, and TikTok feels like such a beautiful place that I can do that because I do just put the camera up and chat, telling dating stories, you know, and the dating, it's funny that the whole dating stuff came about really naturally because my page has always been about money and like finance and all of that. But what I kind of came to realize is like a lot of the financial services space it's seen as like old men, it's stale, it's boring. And I was like, I am a woman who has a life that is so full and fun and rich, and money is a part of that. So I kind of like subconsciously started mixing this content like dating and mindset stuff into it. I love it, and the people love it.
They do, because the thing is though, right, there are so many money creators, so many, and you have to differentiate yourself between the other ones. Like, you know, for me, when I was going out for the Money Influencer of the Year award thing, and I was saying to people, like, why should you vote for me? It's because I'm not the same as everybody else. Like, and you know, I'm not saying that, you know, the cash stuffers or like the people who do the money saving tips, you know, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's amazing. People need those people, and they're really good at what they do. But when you have other stuff going on that you can talk about and you can integrate into it. So like my thing with money is that, you know, I talk about neurodivergence and money. That's my whole thing. It's all about how different neurodivergent conditions are affected by money, whether it's making it, getting out of debt, saving it, impulse spending, like all of those kind of things. But again, mine's more like the money mindset behind it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just the activities of the thing,
Mm-hmm.
but also making money. Like I don't know that many money influencers who talk about making money apart from you. And I like that because it needs to be done. Like I personally know naff all about investing. I haven't quite got there yet. I dabble.
Mm-hmm.
When I say I dabble, I have like in my Plum account, I put like 50 quid on like Meta and
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like the big ones. And like I can see it going up and occasionally it goes down and I'm like, it's going up and then it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And I invest in small businesses, like not in it. If for anyone listening who's a small business, don't get your hopes up. I'm talking 100 quid here, 100 quid there. It's not like, I am not like Mrs. Moneybags with loads of investment. But my in the future, like that's kind of where I'd like
Yeah.
to go. I'd like to be as successful in my business as I possibly can be so that I can share my wealth and support other people.
Mm.
But the actual investment world, I mean, there's so much to learn, isn't there? And like I think this is why I love your stuff so much, because you actually teach people in a really simple way how to do that. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, like basically, I'm always been a saver, which look has so many pros, right? Because you've saved your money.
Yeah.
But I learned about investing, funnily enough, on a date. I'd only been
Oh,
doing my Instagram and my blog for a little bit. I was still part-time. I'd still
yeah.
saved a good chunk of money, but went on a date with a guy, and he was basically like, we were talking really openly about money, and he'd see my Instagram and all of this. And he was like, do you know by holding your money in cash, you're losing money? And obviously I was like, I always say to people, that's the first
I've
time
had
that
them
I
up.
listened. Yeah, I was like, say that again. And so I was like, oh my God. And he was like, you need to be investing. And it was quite brief and vague. So I went away and I started researching into it. I read an amazing piece of research from Fidelity, which was about women and money. I then put it on Instagram to be like, why aren't we all doing this? And one of my friends that I met at a house party years ago, a wealth manager, messaged me like, I work in wealth management. I agree. The language is confusing. It's not geared up for women. It's all exclusive. So, let's go for a beer and I'll tell you everything. So I went for a beer with him. He
Nice.
told me everything that he knew, and I was just asking all these questions. I still then went and I read books, I listened to podcasts, I watched YouTube videos. I did all of those things. And then I got started myself. And then as I've been in this world, like I'm really, really, really passionate about closing that gap of like women investing. And like once you understand the language of investing, it's so much more simple than you realize. But the issue is that's the barrier. It's like, it's one of those things where it's all like someone knows the secret sauce that you don't know, and it makes you just feel excluded. And I think the biggest like investing misconceptions are like, it's only for rich people, it's complicated, or that you have to have loads of money to do it in the first place,
Yeah.
or that like it's just not for you. And it's like, that isn't true. It maybe was like 100 years ago, but now barriers to entry are so much lower. Like we could all literally just download an app, open an account, and be investing straight away.
Yeah.
And in my head, I am a big believer that like, it's how you get rich. Investing is how you build wealth. Like that's how the rich people are rich, because all of them are investing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And an investment, like I say to people, especially in the UK, when we're all born being told to buy houses, like go to school, get an education, get a good job, get a partner, buy a house. A house is an investment because you are buying something that you hope is going to go up in value over time. But you still don't 100% know. If you bought in a dodgy area, or if you bought in a flat that the cladding was rock, you could lose money. It's still an investment and it can go up or down. That's the same as the stock market. And the difference is that the generations above us had affordable housing, but we now have access to the stock market. And I think that it falls under this like umbrella of like something very important, but it's kind of been like kept away from people. And obviously I have a massive, like theory on why that is. I think that
Tell me.
my theory is that like wealthy people right at the very top, there are a lot of circles of people that are doing it that don't want everybody to know how to do it, and they capitalize on people feeling confused by the language, that they therefore go, I need to go spend loads of money to get someone to do it for me. I'm obviously a big believer in like, yes, pay to educate yourself, buy books, take courses, or, you know, watch YouTube videos, spend your time or spend your money to learn. You can do it yourself. Whereas I think that some people at the top are like, you know, if we keep them not understanding it, not everyone's going to do it, and that keeps some people at the bottom having to work and keep swapping their time for money. But then also then people are having to pay really expensive, and I'm not against like financial advisors at all, but like in that instance, people feeling like the only way they can do it is like paying somebody else to do it for them. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's the power of the internet nowadays, right? Is like having access to creators like you and me for different things, where you can learn from someone that you trust a skill that's going to help.
And this is why the government don't want us to have TikTok, because there's so many people who don't like the government, who have got opinions on it. And like, I happen to think that your theory is bang on the nose. Like that's why I was
it's a form of
interested to hear
control.
it.
The form of control, like
absolutely,
100%. And whenever I speak to like my audience is predominantly women. I still work with men, but when it comes to investing, if there isn't anybody looking like you doing it, you feel like it's not for you. And I definitely felt like that, because when I started like a couple of years ago, I was like, where are the women at doing this? Like, why is it when you Google investing, it is just pictures of white men?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of like breaking down the barriers, breaking down, like democratizing it and making it for everyone, because everybody should have the ability to grow their own money. Like we work hard for our money. Why should we just constantly, like, we get taught how to spend it, we get taught how to go back to work, but we don't get taught how to like put some aside and how to grow it. And I think that's really important.
Exactly. What's been your most successful investment to date?
So I am like a total boring investor. So my whole thing is like investing being slow and boring. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not like I can make you thousands of pounds in a really small period of time, which is more like day trading, right? And that doesn't interest me. I guess my most successful one is I invest in like two main things, which are like global index funds. One's the S&P 500, one's the FTSE All World. That's what 99% of my portfolio is in. I probably made over the last couple of years like a 20% increase, but I don't plan to touch that money till I'm like 60, maybe 50, maybe. Like the aim is long term. And the issue I think as well is with nowadays is like people, us being so used to like instant gratification. This is like total delayed gratification.
Yes. And for an ADHD brain, that is really hard.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people now who, instead of having a pension, they invest it instead.
Yeah. And the reason why, though, that you do that, right, is because with a pension, your money is being invested for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So at least you get the choice.
Right. And when you then do it yourself through like a stocks and shares ISA, the main obviously, the great thing about a pension, if you have a workplace pension, is that you get money from the government in tax relief, and you get money from your employer.
Yes.
But if you're self-employed, you don't get that. So it's like, but the good thing about doing it outside of a pension is the ability to access that money. Whereas with a pension, it's like, sorry, you can't access this before pension age. So it's like, and I'm a big believer in like not having all your eggs in one basket. So not only having a pension or not only having property, but like trying to have a little bit of everything in different places. So not just diversifying your investments. It's a little bit like when you talk about income streams. Like you don't just want one income stream, you want a couple. It's the same as...
I've got like 15. I mean, I'm really greedy when it comes to income, like really bad.
No, I love that.
I mean, I don't talk about how much money I earn ever, because of the fact that like most of my audience are in debt, or they're struggling with money, or, you know, they have impulse spending problems. But I do talk about the fact that I make more than enough to not only live, but invest, to do all the things that I need to do, to look after my kids. Like, we're just about to move house. Like, you know, I've got a nice car. And it's not like it's a nice car. I think it's a nice car. It's not a posh car.
Yeah.
It's a like, and also like, if I had a really nice car, I would not let my kids in it. So
no one's going to this.
It's a nice enough car. It's a dustbin on wheels. So, you know, it's a thing. But you know, I have just had my best month ever. And it is a significant amount of money. And if I say that this month I've earned more than I did in my first salary that I had as a full-time employed person, that's a bit of an indication of kind of where we're going. I mean, obviously people don't know how much, but it's enough. Right. So it's a thing where, like, I think people get funny about talking about money. I don't. I am more than happy to talk about my money, more than happy to talk openly about any aspect of it. But I just think that talking about like the exact amount of money that you earn sometimes makes people, especially neurodivergent people, I think it's a bit icky, and sometimes they feel a little bit like they are. What is that noise? Can we hear
Is
that
that
noise?
coming from me?
I don't know.
There is
Like
they've just started doing works outside
it's
the
like a
office.
squeaky noise. But do you know
Yeah,
what? I've got the low
that's
background.
me.
I've got
I
removing background
apologise.
noise on. So that's fine.
Hopefully that
And
one.
it's just in my mind, I'm like, what is that squeaky thing?
Yeah, I can hear that as well. It's I think it's coming from the office.
It sounds like someone's putting their nails down a chalkboard.
They've literally just started doing works that they said they weren't meant to be doing it this week, but we're here now.
It's all good. It's all good. It's fine. I reckon that this amazing new software that I have,
it's gonna filter it out.
Yeah. So I've just signed up to like, I can't say Riverside without saying motherfucker after it.
I know. Riverside motherfucker. That used to be my fave song. So I used to love it.
Absolute tune, isn't it? So yeah. So I think that's what we're going to call it now. Yeah. We're going to call it Riverside motherfucker, and that's just done. But we got a bit off track there because I was talking about the money thing. But I think it's really, really important to be having these open money conversations because, like, people, even the people who are in debt, the people who are struggling, the people who don't have the money to invest, like, if we're not talking about money from all angles, people will still not ask the questions, and then they won't learn and they won't do the thing. So, like, I started investing about 3 years ago, I think. I still don't really know what I'm doing. And I put money into various different things every month. I'm more risky when it comes to my investments. I'm like, do you know what? If I put 50 quid on this, maybe if it like goes, like, maybe if they float on the stock market at some point, that 50 quid will be worth like 500 quid. And I'm like, yeah, we'll just do that. I've lost a lot of money as well, investing in small businesses, and that can be a bit more risky, but I find it fun. Just turn the telly on again.
He knows what's up. He's
like,
I thought you took the remote.
I threw it back.
There we go.
Stupid dog. This is the problem. What I need to do is move the remote. I should have kept it. That one's stupid telly. Anyway, so what's going on with you at the moment then? What's next?
What is next? So I'm in the middle of my investor course at the moment, where I basically teach people how to invest in the stock market. And the thing, just quickly to touch on this as well, the thing about investments, right, is it's a little bit, when it comes to investing in the stock market, celebration for me. Whoop, whoop. Did you see that? It's just the most chaotic podcast I've said. It's like all the things happening. Just like celebrated. There was some balloons. Oh my God. So with investments, when you say investing on the stock market, it's such a broad term.
Yeah.
And what you hear a lot of, and I guarantee people that are listening to this will hear, the reason why I don't invest in the stock market is because my uncle lost loads of money. It's because I know someone that lost money. The thing about investing in the stock market is if you have a long-term strategy, which in my instance is you buy index funds, which means your money is diversified. So you're not just buying one stock, you're buying potentially loads. And you are holding on to it for a really long time to ride out the wave of the market. So instead of, I'm going to put something in this and see if it goes up, and you can do that, but that's higher risk. And like usually, generally, women do have like a lower risk attitude towards investing. But I believe that's less about nature and more about nurture, and it's more what we've been fed, like the narratives through the media is like, oh, be careful, save your pennies, don't splurge, all of that. But yeah, my course basically teaches people like literally the basics. Like I literally talk about like, what is the stock market? What, like, how do you do a transaction? Like, what are some strategies? What are some mistakes I should avoid? So yeah, I'm in the midst of that at the moment, which has taken up a lot of my time, but I love teaching it so much. It's one of my favorite things to teach. Like people walking away being like, oh my God, I understand something I've never understood before. Because for me, investing changed the entire financial trajectory of my future. Like God bless my parents. I'm not going to have an inheritance. Like they don't have anything to give me, and there's 4 of us. So anything there's going to be is going to be split between 4 of us anyway. But like, I can't rely on anything or anyone right now. Like, I'm single, there's not much money in my family, and I hope I get a partner one day, with all these dates that I'm going on.
Like, do people hit on you on TikTok because you talk about your single
People
life?
don't. No, I get creepy people hit on me on TikTok. I don't get any fitties hit on me. So if anyone is listening to this and you're fit, come message me. No, I get a lot.
I was the most invested in the Winter Wonderland guy.
Oh, we didn't.
Yeah.
That never materialized, sadly.
No, I really wanted him to.
I know, it's a shame.
The holiday guy as well. He was the holiday guy, wasn't he?
He was one of. I have had multiple holiday guys.
Holiday guys.
Multiple holiday guys. I mean, for anyone listening, I actually give out my number a lot. It's a confident, like, I am the most confident I've ever been. Like, I have no issue, not no issue. I would be nervous, but I would walk up to somebody in the street that I thought was cute and say, hello, would you like my number? Happily.
You did it on the train, didn't you? The train guy.
The train guy.
I love the fact that I'm like, so like, your dating stories are in my brain. Like,
yeah, and it makes it easier because they all have little nicknames. Train guy, this guy, that guy. No, train guy was nice. He disappeared off the face of the earth. He actually ghosted me, but he lived. His life was wild, so he was something else. We had great chemistry, but yeah, he is no more. So yeah, hopefully all of you alive. Yeah, me too, for his sake. But yeah, no, like, you know, so I have to rely on myself financially. So like investing is I find it really empowering because I'm like, I'm taking control of my finances. I'm doing things that, you know, I'm doing for me. So teaching other people that and them having their own light bulb moments is like, it's the most magical thing. I love it. So yeah, doing that at the moment. But for the rest of the, like, I guess for this year, I have my podcast, which I really want to continue to grow. I've hit 100,000 downloads, which I'm really, really happy about.
Tell me a bit about the podcast.
So the podcast is called Mind, Money, Soul, and it is basically the emotional, the practical, and the spiritual sides of money. So mind, money, soul. Nice. And I talk about all the things. I talk about I talk about the practical stuff. I talk about like your relationship with money. I talk about the role that money plays in your life, because I'm a big believer, and I guess this is like part of my niche or part of my brand, but like I'm a believer that money is a tool that helps you do things in your life. Absolutely. So when we're talking about, you know, saving, investing, doing these things, it's less about the money and more about what that's going to be able to do for you. Yes. So like, it's not just like savings tips. It's like, okay, you're saving, but what is it you're saving for? What's that going to do? It's not just here's how you invest. It's like, but what's your life going to look like once you've got X amount of investments? It's the lifestyle that being good with your money can create for you. Yes. And helping people know that like money doesn't have to be a source of stress and worry. It can actually be really amazing, an amazing tool. So it's like more that holistic picture.
Yes. Yes. We should have had the balloons then.
I know. Come back.
I don't know how or where they came from, or like if we can get any more, because it's that was fun. Anyway, no, that is exactly my ethos. Yeah. And the more we talk about money, the more we talk about all of the things that, and you know, there's so much. It's such a broad thing. Yeah. And I think people don't really realize, because like, you know, some people come and they're like, oh, why do you talk about this? Why do you talk about that? And I'm like, because it relates to money. Yes. They're like, why do you show you taking the kids out? And I'm like, because it relates to my money. Every single fucking thing that I do relates to money. This, I think this is one of the problems that we had when we launched Mad About Money app, was that people just assumed that it was because it was about money, it was boring. But actually, it is a social media platform. Yeah. It is a social platform for people to come and talk about anything that they want to that relates to money, which is pretty much everything. Yeah. And we made it in a way where people didn't feel pressured to have to like grow an audience, or you know, it was just somewhere they could come and hang out and learn stuff. Mainly for ADHD and neurodivergent people, because we like to learn. We like to fill our brains with stuff. We like to make connections. We don't like to get distracted by the shitty things like follower numbers. Yeah. You know, I would love, like. Oh, sorry, you finish. No, I would love to be able to go on TikTok and not have to worry about how many followers I had. Like, I love what I do. I love creating content, but I tell you what, do I not half get bloody rejection sensitivity dysphoria when one of my videos flops, and I think, why am I not making as much money as I used to make on this platform when all the content I'm doing is still fucking the same? And I don't know if you're finding that.
That's a great point, actually. Like my platform has always been Instagram. Like I grew on Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got like 16,000 followers, but like I grew quite quickly and then stagnated. But like, if you want me to be genuinely honest, when I quit my job and I went full-time content creator, I was so much more than a content creator. I had a business. I've been one-to-one coaching. And like, it detracts from your content, right? And then if I'm honest, and I look back over the last 2 years, I have not been the most consistent. I have not been like the most, I go weeks where I do it and I smash it, and then I go weeks where I just fall off the face of the earth. You know, like, it's one of those things.
That's literally a penny drop moment for me, because in the last 3 months where my TikTok money has gone whoop, my business has gone whoop, and my business is like, I'm almost fully booked coaching wise. You know, it's going amazingly. I've launched my new membership. I'm doing my TikTok training stuff. I'm doing my courses. I've got a whole community I need to run. I've got an app I need to run. And actually, TikTok does fall to the background a little bit. So I think maybe I was more of a full-time content creator than I thought. Because also now I think, although I'm still showing up and I'm talking about the same things, I'm not curating my videos as much as I used to be. And like, you know, they're not, you know, I just sit at the same fucking place and I say the same thing. You know, it's not like I'm not out and about filming as much as I usually am. Like I used to go out to the supermarkets and do price comparisons and all these kind of things. And actually, like, my audience, they love what I talk about, but they also love that stuff as well. And I just don't have time to do it. Like, it's hard.
That's the thing, right? People that don't make content do not understand how long it takes to make content. Don't get me wrong. On my TikTok, the videos you see where I just pop my camera up and I go, hello, everybody, I'm going to take minutes. That's it. Like, you just all the other stuff does take so much time. And I went and did a talk for basically 2 financial services companies. So instead of it being like a personal finance talk where I was sharing tips, it was me talking about being a finfluencer to people in financial services. Cool. It was really, really cool. It was a really cool opportunity. And weirdly, I'm a big believer in like manifesting and stuff. This year in the morning, this year at the start of the year, I put on my like vision board. I don't know why I wanted to do this, but I really wanted to do a talk in a cinema. Like, I wanted to be on stage. And I thought I was going to be doing my own like workshop in a cinema. And then this opportunity that I got asked to do, they were like, oh, we're going to be hosting it in the big Everyman cinema. So it was like proper like cool. And I was like, how weird is that? So that was fun. But yeah, I spoke about.
When are you doing a TEDx?
Oh, it's going to happen.
Hell yeah. Let's I think we should, like, friendly competition. Let's do this, because I really want to do one.
You want to do one.
Desperately keep applying and nobody ever gets back to you, and it's really frustrating. So I'm just going to go and
applied.
Yeah, next time I go, I'm going to go and like flash my boobs or something.
Love that. I love flashing my boobs.
Somebody said to me on LinkedIn this morning, because like I commented because they were talking about the TEDx they'd done, and I was like, I really want to do a TEDx, and they were like, you can't just really want to do a TEDx. It has to be all about like, you know, what your impact is to the audience. I'm like, of course I want to give impact to the audience, but I do also fucking want to do a TEDx.
Yeah, I can do it. I have something to say, but I can also do it because I want to do it. Like, it can be both. I'm like,
sounded really patronizing, and I might have like, I think maybe my reply was a bit like, maybe a bit snippy.
Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us.
I know. Like, I really like. I think there's a lot of things that, you know, both of us are doing at the moment, which is so impactful to so many people, and we just want to be out there and storytell. And that's the thing. Like, you know, what about book? Have you got a book?
I haven't got a book, but I would really like to. I would really like to write one. I think so.
Invest like a badass. There you go. There's your title.
Do you know what it is? Invest like a badass. 2 things. One, there are so many different things that I want to do. It's like, speaking is probably my favorite part of my job. I love going to do like workshops. I've got like a wellness festival coming up this year that I'm doing a workshop at. I do panels all the time. I love that. I love my podcast. I love going on podcasts. Like, I love that. But I feel like a book would be like amazing. But sometimes I do that thing where I'm like, oh, there are so many books out there about that. And that's when you have to come back to like, no, but I have something to say differently. Like, you know, but I'm a big believer in things happening organically. Like, I believe that growth of yourself, of your business, it's not always about the end journey. I definitely like when I was 25, I was like obsessed with like being worried that I was like wasting time and I hadn't found this career that I want. Literally 2 years later, I'm in a career I could never even imagined, but I love. And I got so obsessed with like, well, what follower count am I going to hit? How many this, how many that? And for the first time, and maybe it's like since turning 30, I'm just enjoying the process of like running a business. And
that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Nice.
Like, I think when I stopped worrying about follower numbers, they started to grow more. Like it's one of those things. I think you can tell when people are desperately trying to grow their account because they're showing up and talking about literally anything, and you're like, no, just enjoy the ride. Like, enjoy it, have a good time. Follower numbers mean naff all if people aren't buying from you. So, like, you know, it's
exactly
it's just
and
about...
I love creating content. Like when I find that like there's this like weird flow, like we were saying, where sometimes when you're really busy in your business, content is like it's not happening as much because you don't have time. But then when things get a bit quieter and you go, oh, I've got a bit more time, your content goes up, and it kind of like does that.
It does, and that's the entrepreneurial weave. Let's call it that.
The entrepreneurial weave. That's what it is. It's like a plait. But I actually really love creating content. So I'm really excited. Like I'm going to spend a bit more time like in May and June, like really leaning into like content, different types of content, like seeing what happens. But talking of a book, I haven't got a book, but I actually, because in my head I was like, I want to write a book, I actually started a document which says book, and things that I think of that would be good to go in a book I put in there. So I feel like I'm kind of semi-manifesting it by like even starting the process.
So and that does work, because I did that.
Did you?
I actually started to write it. Started to write my book. I was like, yes, I'm going to start writing it. And then just randomly about 3 weeks ago, I got a publisher in my inbox in LinkedIn. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, no, this is a scam. Like nobody would be. Total scam. Because you hear about like people asking you to be on podcasts and stuff, and you think, is that weird? So I took it at face value a little bit, and I was like, I have thought about writing a book. Yes, in fact, I'm halfway through it. Yes, carry on.
Tell me more.
And this lovely lady was like, I think you'd be amazing, and we really want to hear more about your book. Can we book a meeting? And so I booked a meeting with her that day. And then we started talking about the book. So I have spent the last 3 weeks writing a book proposal, which now I'm like, holy crap, I've actually got to do this book.
I've said I'm going to do this thing now.
It's going to the publisher meeting tomorrow.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
And they are a top 10 as well. So,
are they?
Yeah, which is quite exciting.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
But if they say no, I'm just going to send it to a load of other people now, because I've got the proposal. So it is happening.
And isn't it funny how that certain things force you to get to a point like that it made you write that in itself?
Exactly.
Sorry.
They're still drilling.
Hold fire 1 second. Are you okay? Hello. Can I literally have like 5 minutes? I'm just on a call. Is that okay?
Always the way. I can edit this as well, though. Now it's on this. Look. That's great. We can edit out the dog turning on the TV and the whoever else comes in and all the. I probably won't though, because I prefer it to be unedited. It's more fun.
Somebody just came in and opened my door of the office. But yeah, like by you having that call and somebody coming to you, it like, I guess it does force you, because I don't know if you found this, when I used to have a full-time job or a part-time job and I did this as a side hustle, I was that time that I was doing like content and like writing and all of that, I was so committed and like structured, and I was like, I only have my evenings or my weekends, and I did give up a lot of my time. Now I do it full time. I procrastinate so much more unless I literally have a deadline and it's like, no, you have to get it done at this point. I'm probably doing it the day before. I procrastinate like.
And you don't have ADHD diagnosed, but we know you've got it.
All the signs. Yeah,
they're all there, like glaring beacons of light. In a good way, though. I think. Do you know what I think? Actually, I think there's going to be a time in the future where ADHDers rule the world and we are the ones on top. Like there will be a revolution, and we're going to be like. Whoop, whoop.
I say this to my housemates all the time. We're very like, because we're all very similar. And I'm very lucky. I have a very beautiful house. Like, our house is lovely. My housemates are angels. We're all besties.
Oh,
And like,
I love
we just love hanging out. We never have the TV on. Like, the TV hasn't gone on this year because we just come home, we're chatting, we're like doing stuff. There's always a new hobby going on. We're chatting, we're telling stories, like, and we always say, like, whatever we call, you know, whatever neurospice we all have, that's what makes us who we are, and that's what makes us like that like that's it's a superpower. It's a superpower.
It absolutely is. Like, I mean, we don't want to take away from the people who don't feel like it's a superpower, but if you lean into it and you see the positives and, you know, you utilize your brain and you use your skills for good, absolutely. Absolutely.
100%.
So Laura, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, which my name is Laura_Ann_Moore. You can find me on TikTok, which is Laura Ann Moore. And my podcast is Mind, Money, Soul. There is a YouTube channel which connects to that, but I don't use it often. So we can.
How many followers have you got?
547 subscribers, maybe.
I'm thinking I can't grow my YouTube for love nor money. I'm sort of like, it's there.
Yeah.
I think maybe if I put more effort. The problem is, right, I don't do shorts because shorts have to be below a minute, but for TikTok to make money, they have to be over a minute.
So I'm it's like this in between. Yeah.
I do that on purpose, but it's very annoying. So I'm like, no. Just because obviously they want the original content. So, and I don't have time to create shorts, so I just don't. So that's why my YouTube is shit.
Yeah, no.
I have 80 followers, which I feel is very good. But, you know, this is like, when people say, is this going to be a video? I'm like, yes, it is, but not very many people can see it. It does, however, go in Mad About Money app as well. So you can watch it in there. For anybody who hasn't downloaded Mad About Money app yet, it is a app that helps people with all areas of money, not just saving, not just investing, whatever, like every single area of money you can get help with in Mad About Money. To be fair, investment is not something we really cover in the app, so you should definitely come and help us out there.
Absolutely.
Come and be our investment lady. But it's free to download. It's an awesome place to hang out. It's not boring. It's just for people when they need help with whatever they need help with. And it's all about connecting and community without having to grow a following, which is great. And it's always good for the neurospicy variety as well. Laura, it's been so nice having you on. And like now I feel like I actually know you rather than a stalkery know you. So that helps. We'll be getting this podcast out next week. Can't wait for it to come out. You are an absolute superstar. Thank you so much for being on. Guys, if you want to know more information about me as well, you can go and check me out on LinkedIn, Maddy Alexander-Grout, or you can get me on TikTok, Mad About Money Official. Thank you all for listening.